So we officially live
Perfect. And where do I share?
at the bottom.
It's not let's see.
Officially live.
All right. So we officially live. Where do I share?
See how it tells you everything. So that's what it normally does. So hey, Christina.
Hey.
Well, only if everybody knew how much stuff we was going through to even
Yes.
be here right now.
This was a testimony in itself.
I know it really was, but we here, we made it.
Yes, we did.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am born and raised in Texas. I got my undergraduate degree in business management, and I got my master's degree in social work, and I'm now a new entrepreneur.
That's good. So what led you to become a new entrepreneur?
Really, I've always wanted to be one. I actually took an entrepreneurship class in undergrad and loved it. I had to make a business plan, and it was just really fun. And I
Hmm.
didn't really pursue it that much more than that because I was like, college, got to get a job, needed to focus on, making sure I secure that job rather than, thinking about starting my own business, which
Yeah,
either way is fine. But for me, my true passion was to be an entrepreneur.
that's good. So that being said, you chose clothing.
I did. I
So
love to shop.
did you? And you was just talking about you cheap.
I am cheap, but I am cheap, but I will spend some money on some clothes.
I can't even lie to you. I'm the same way, but I'm like that with like shoes and purses.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to upgrade to some shoes and purses for you.
Yes, please, because honey, I will be on your site all the time. All the time. Other than that, I don't care. So what type of clothing do you have?
So it's all about feeling sexy and looking classy and just really having a good time. So we going to look out. We having dresses, we trying to look cute, like it's the whole nine. So most of my stuff are dress pieces. I do have some two-piece bottom pants and top suits that are real cute that you can dress up to go out in, but it's all about feeding that confidence, looking your best, and really just walking every one way that we have here in these streets.
Yeah. So do you consider yourself as a fashion designer too, since you're so into it? What if a woman just wanted you to put some pieces together for her?
Well, I wish I could design my own clothes. That is the goal. Now, I can't draw worth a lick, so
Well, you can make it work still.
I can, if they give me I do have a lot of ideas of how I want to design certain clothes. So I do that is the goal. The goal is to get there to really be confident and say like I'm a designer. I have these pieces picked out already that I want stitched up, drawn out and sent to the
Yeah,
warehouse.
I already know. But even
Yeah.
with the clothes that you have, it's just you putting clothing together for women because I know you talked about confidence. So where did the confidence level come from with you? Where did that all start at?
For me, it's so I had very high confidence before I had kids. So once I had my kids, it was like my body was different. And then I was older. So everything didn't pop back the same. And
Oh,
so it was really messing with my confidence and, comparing myself to other women, social media, entertainment. I'm like, man, I should be looking like this or I should be looking like that. And so it just really just rained on my little parade, and a lot of people kept saying, "Oh, you just had a baby. It's okay." I'm like,
you weren't
my
trying to hear all that.
Yeah, I'm like, look here, my baby is a year old now. This excuse is wore out. So, a lot of it was just me needing to stop being lazy. Like, I knew I was tired. I was a mom. I work full time. But I also know is when we really want to do something, we're going to make time for it. And that's what I
Yeah,
had to do. I had to make time for myself, for me, not for anybody else, but for me, however I want it to look. And I know women feel like they have to be a size 0. And I'm like, no, you just be
yeah,
happy, whatever shape makes you feel good and whatever makes you look good,
yeah,
to yourself.
yes. Someone said compassion is a confidence killer. Well,
Yeah,
comparison is a
yeah.
confidence killer, but it can be that, in so many ways. A lot of us see a lot of women, but some of them, they have surgery and everything else, and that's where some come in at. A lot of us women can't be comfortable with ourselves. We always, like me and you were talking about, we hard on ourselves. We overthink everything. We think we're supposed to look a certain way and everything, but it's really something for us, but actually it's really something also for how we want people to look at us and view us to look as beautiful as that next woman too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and two, it's also I also want to do it for my health. So I have to get into a spot that makes me not only look healthy but feel healthy. And so making those little changes of like I try really hard not to eat after 7 o'clock.
Me
Now
too. That's where I'm at right now.
it's really hard, but I try to be consistent with not eating after 7 just because we do slow down after that set. As soon as it gets closer to the 8 o'clock time, we're at home, we're relaxed, we're comfortable. So all of that food that we're eating just comes right to our little pooch. And it just likes to sit there. And so, just being mindful and being diligent of just even those little things, even if you don't like to work out, but changing your diet and watching what you eat makes a big difference.
I know. One thing I learned: when I get full, I stop eating. Instead of just being so hungry, just because it's there, I used to think I could eat. And then also it comes with, after you have after women have children too, they have postpartum also. So I know
Mhm.
a lot of women go through that too, but me, stress makes me eat.
Mhm.
Or it gets to a point where I wouldn't even be going through, I'd be going through some things and I gain weight just because I'm stressing and I wouldn't be eating.
Right.
So so we have to set our minds to a space where we feel comfortable with ourselves and not look outside of whatever is going on in our personal lives.
Yes, and that's true because so with my social work background, I did some classes in counseling as well, and so just learning about depression, anxiety, bulimia, anorexia, all those things feed into that self-image issue that a lot of us have because we are hard on ourselves, and that's one thing that I want to prevent and get women out of with my clothing store. It's like, look, go out, be cute, don't care what nobody else says. Let's get you right. If you need to put on that little sexy dress or you want to wear that cute jumpsuit, like whatever you want to do, girl, own it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
because,
and it doesn't matter how you look, what size, or what people say, or
right.
anything of that nature. Just confidence. I personally, I wear black all the time,
Hmm.
so it's like I'm just like, no, I'm just not. That's not what I'm about to do. So I had to start wearing some color to even build my confidence myself. So
Yes.
it's just man, confidence is, ew, it's something.
It is, and people overlook it a lot because they don't realize when they lose it. You know what I'm saying? You don't realize when you kind of lose yourself. It's like one day you look in the mirror and be like, what? What just happened? Like, I feel like I didn't look like this yesterday. Like, and that's what it was for me. I just, all of a sudden, I was just like, What happened? Where did I go? Where's Christina? Where's, fun, vibrant, let's go hang out, with my girls. Like I was like, oh no, I'm a homebody and I'm gonna stay home and I don't want to shop and
Dang. So when did it hit you like I need to start getting myself together? I need to get me back.
honestly last year. Last year
Really?
after I had my second child because she did me wrong.
Oh, you
I love her to pieces. Don't get me wrong, I love her to pieces, but she messed me up more than my boy did.
did
So
she?
she did. When they say girls take your beauty, honey, she took mine. Okay.
Girl, she ain't take nothing.
But I absolutely love being a mom. So but I just had to look at my a lot of times moms feel bad because they can't do stuff for, like, when people say do it for your kids, and if you feel like you can't do that for your kids, quote unquote, like it's not enough, like they're not enough, then you start really getting more into a depressed state. And really a lot of times it's like you really just need to do it for you. Like do it for yourself. You get your dreams for yourself, you get healthy for yourself, you go take a vacation for yourself. Like, be selfish. It's okay to be selfish in those ways because that's what keeps us mentally and emotionally and physically happy.
Yeah, it really do. And that's good that you recognize that. What was one of the first things you did to even get yourself all the way back in order from your second child? Like you really do. Somebody else said it was their second child too.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that second one is a booger. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. I am out here about my laptop about to die.
Girl,
So we're
this
about to get yes. But no, honestly, um I had to start going back to church, to be honest. That was the first step for
uh-huh.
me to really get that spiritual health. And so I hadn't found a when I moved from San Antonio to here, when I did my in my master's of counseling program, and I moved down here to do my master's of social work. I hadn't found a church down here. I didn't really even look because I was in school. I was pregnant with my first son, and so I was tired all the time. And so I just really was like, after that second baby, I was like, you know what? You tripping. Like, get your life together. And I was like, I needed to find a church home that I can relate to, one that was one going to instill into my kids and one that was going to feed myself.
Mhm.
And so I did, and then Corona hit not too soon after that. But even the little bit of time that I had going there, it was very helpful and inspirational for me because it was what I needed to feel like, okay, I'm doing what's best for Christina. And when Christina's happy, then Christina's kids are going to be happy because if I can't be healthy and parent my children, then I'm raising unhealthy kids, which we don't need no more raised unhealthy kids in this world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. So let's talk a little bit about more about how you support mothers. What is it exactly that you do to support mothers?
So I have, well, one, my job that I'm a case manager. And so I used to work in adoption. Well, I still do adoption, but I was doing straight adopt. And
Okay.
so that means that mothers would come to the agency and say, hey, I would like to place my child for adoption. I don't have the support system. I don't have the money. I just don't want a parent at all. Please help me find a family that will take care of my baby. And
Okay.
so most people think that it's the really young kids that are coming, but it's like, no, it was people in their late 20s, early 30s, and sometimes even early 40s that are the ones coming to us saying, like, I can't do this. Like, and
Wow.
the stories, and I told the ladies, I'm like, don't be embarrassed of your story as to either how you got pregnant or why you don't have support or whatever, because we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. And
Right.
our first goal was always to make sure that we can knock down her barriers. So our first goal was not to place the child for adoption. Our first goal was to be like, okay, if you don't have a job, let's help you get a job. If you feel like
Mhm.
you don't have a support system, let's find you some support groups, and whatever. So we would knock those barriers down for her. They would call me whenever, text me whenever for support. I had one young lady, I went up to the hospital with her to talk to her, um, while she was actually in labor and she had the baby early. So it's a beautiful thing because you get the foster parents, because I worked with both sides. Um, you have the foster parents who are excited to get a baby because
Yeah,
can't have children. So for them, this is their blessing, and most of them really love the birth mother who chose them. So it's a really neat process.
what is the most case of women that usually do come and say, I just can't do it? What is something that they went through to a point where they just don't want to have their baby?
A lot of times they just didn't see themselves as a parent. They just were
Wow.
like, I didn't see myself as a parent and I'm not with the father. So it's usually a combination of those two.
Wow.
Um, Yeah, or they're on their 2nd or 3rd child and they're like, I can't take care of another one." That's another big one. Yeah, and so
Really?
yeah, and it's hard, and a lot of people judge because a lot of people are like, "Well, you already kept your
Right,
1st and 2nd one, why can't you, do this? Or you should have kept your legs closed," and, whatever the case may be, and maybe that is true, but however, this is what it comes down to, she's having a baby. You know what
right.
I'm saying? And that's not what she needs. She needs to know that she's supported in her decision, and that's how we screen our foster parents, like, hey, or adoptive parents, like, you have to not be judgmental of this young lady's situation because she's
Yeah,
being vulnerable and she's saying, hey, I want to place my child with a good family rather than abort them or rather than abandon them. So
yeah, and that's respectful. It's a respect thing too. At the same time, what is something that you could bring to awareness for people who don't understand why women get rid of their children and adopt them out or foster kid them out? What is something that you could bring awareness for them to understand that? Because some people don't understand it and they are judgmental about that, and we really don't know the case. It's just we're just being judgmental, and we're not in that person's head. So so we don't know. So what's something encouraging that you will tell them to understand it more?
well, this is what I tell everybody. You never know what situation you're going to encounter. And two, you have yourself encountered certain situations that have put you in compromised positions. Now, a lot of those times, those people have had support. Like, you have had support to help you get you through that tough time, or you're going to have support when that tough time hits. And then that's the missing piece when these women walk through those doors. They don't have anybody. They don't have anybody they can call on. Some of them are homeless. Like, they're literally like, this is my last stop of me trying to do something better than what I'm doing for myself. Like, they really do care about that child that they're carrying. Now, some of them, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, some of them, they ain't doing right and they ain't living right. But the majority of them, we don't get a lot of repeat cases. Most of them, it's a one and done. And the next time they have a child, they do keep their child and they're doing a lot better. So I just tell people you have to look at, you're blessed to have a support system. And unfortunately, they're not that blessed to have that. But we're trying to help them get that support system to tell them, like, hey, you can keep going. You can do this. We can help you get a job. We can help you get that support system, and we'll watch your baby at night for you or whatever, because a lot of them don't have any degrees. They ain't have a real job. So for them, it's going to be slim pickings when it comes to finding a job. So,
Man,
it's just, you have to really step outside of yourself and really try to put yourself in that person's shoes of, if I didn't have anybody, would I have made it through my toughest situation that I've encountered thus far?
Man, that is so true. That is so true. I think sometimes when people find themselves being judgmental, they need to start looking at themselves in the mirror on why they thought process is even like that in the first place.
Yes.
So
It's hard.
it is. It's really hard. It takes a lot of self discipline for you to not analyze people and not really understand exactly where they coming from and how they are. Everybody's upbringing is different. Everybody's morals are different. It's just different things that we happen in different people's lives that we don't have no clue about.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And that's why I love what I do, because you get to know the story, you get to know their story, and you get to be a part of their story. And it's so exciting because once you see them meet their goal, it's like, yay, like you did
yeah,
it. Like I told you that you're smart, that you're beautiful, that you're successful, that you could do all these things that you thought you couldn't do. And
right.
that's what I love.
Yeah, it takes a special person to do what you do and actually feel that way about them. You know, you get excited for something of a goal that you help them achieve. And you know, sometimes they go through rough times with certain people in your field when all they really needed was the positivity and the support system that you actually give them. So blessings to you for even having a heart of gold to even do that,
Well,
because
thank
it's
you.
hard to run into people like yourself that do that.
Yeah.
So that is a blessing.
Yeah, because even on the foster care side, which is where I'm at now, it's even I feel like that's tougher than the adoption side because these parents get so many chances. And
Yeah,
it's really hard once you've seen a child come through the system 2 or 3 times and the parents are doing the same thing over and over. It's really hard to be positive, and to be very supportive and non-judgmental because it's like,
yeah,
okay, now your child didn't been in foster care longer than they've been in your household. Like that's a problem. Like, don't you see that? So it's really hard to just be like, okay, look, let me step out of myself. Now I have to look at her environment. If she's living in an environment that's not healthy, of course she's going to continue to do unhealthy things. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just when the common sense come in when you know that the children are safe.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then getting them out of an unsafe environment in time in case something will happen to them.
Right.
And that's the hard part where we see a lot often when sometimes case managers mislead and give the child back to an endangered home, and then next thing you know the child will come up dead.
Right. Yeah.
So the many cases can come up like that too. So how do you cope with dealing with this all the time? Because obviously it's your passion. So with you having something as your passion, sometimes you have to eliminate from bringing it home with you. And
Yes.
even using it as a personal experience, what are some of the things that you do to keep your mindset balanced out?
Honestly, that's why I focus so hard on starting a business because when I come home, I look at my kids. So then when I look at my kids, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like somebody else's kid, the kid that I just went to go see because there's kids, my kids' age at these foster homes and I know their situation and some of them have come because their parents have abused and neglected them. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I need to throw myself into something else that's going to take my mind off of that, something that I can build and that will inspire my kids and influence my kids. And so I'm not looking at them and just feeling so sad for all those other
Right.
things because I'm like, I want to bring you home. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. It's like you just want to bring them all.
Yeah, like just come on home. And so I just try to focus on different things, like working out, like my eating. So I just try to focus and put my energy into healthy places to keep my mind and body happy.
That's good. That's really good that you're doing that, because sometimes it could affect us too much and mentally, and
Yes.
it don't create us to have a healthy life in our personal life, and we just bringing it and carrying it all other people's burdens. and
Yeah.
it just bring us all down, and we start falling all the way apart. And then it makes it hard for you to do your job once you get to that point too.
Mm-hmm. And then it just pedals down from there because now you're not doing your home stuff either. So,
Yep. Yeah, you're like, mommy, what's wrong?
and then you start snapping at your kids, and it's just like that's not fair, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people do that when they just come home. It's like you just gotta leave whatever you going through, you gotta leave it out the door. But if you want to get through it, have a calm conversation with your other half or whomever about things. And even with you in the field, you could teach once your kids is able to comprehend what you're saying, you could teach them things too, and it can help. You know what I'm saying? Help your whole foundation at your home to keep you level headed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You know, keeping them. I know. I want to once my kids get a little bit older, and then kind of once we see what Corona does. But I've always wanted to take them to go like feed the homeless and you know
Yeah,
make little baskets and stuff for them so they can see that everybody doesn't live like you live. Everybody's not that privileged to do that, and this could be us. Like this, like there was nothing wrong with that person. Like life
yeah,
happens to everybody.
yeah. And it helps as they get older, not saying that your kids would, but it helped them understand bullying too.
Mhm.
Because a lot of kids find themselves bullying other kids because they don't have the latest shoes, or they got a hole in their sock, or they pants is different, faded, just
Yeah,
different things. And from you actually doing that, having them feed the homeless, it'll help humble them
right.
in so many
Yes,
ways. So it's good that you are planning to recommend that for your kids once they get older, because it's good for kids to actually see another life, for them to appreciate the life that they have.
exactly. Exactly. Because kids, as kids, we think money grow on trees, honey. We like,
Oh no. You like sprinkle me.
I want this, I want that. Yes, my son, every time something comes on with some Hot Wheels cars, mommy, can you buy me that? I'm like, maybe one day.
And just keeping it balanced out. Oh my god, wait till Santa.
Right. You better write your Christmas list, but don't think you're getting everything on it.
No. That's so funny. So, what is it something that you do to uplift and inspire young girls?
So I have mentored a few girls, and for me, I'm very what I've learned about myself. That's another thing. Learning about yourself is really key to helping other people.
Yeah.
Um, but what I've learned about myself is I'm very like goal oriented. So I'm always like, okay, what's your struggle? Okay, this is what the problem is. Okay, let's solve it. Like, so for me, I'm always like, okay, what's wrong? First, we're gonna hit the emotional, and then second of all, what do you want to do? What's your plans? Because a lot of these young girls are either already mothers or they on that track to being a young mother. So I like to help them get set up with school if they need to get in school, or some of them were in high school and she didn't even know what a GPA was, and she was like a junior in high school. And
Really?
yes,
So she
like
never knew her grades or
she knew
wow.
she was failing, but that was about it. I was like, so what's your GPA? And she was like, what is that? And I was like, your grade point average, like a combination of all your grades, and it's averaged out. And she was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't even know I had that. And so it's just crazy because you think that because they're in high school that they know these things.
No.
And sometimes they just don't, because again, it goes back to support system. A lot of them didn't have, even though they may have a mom or a dad or both in the home, they're working 24/7
Yeah.
because they're in the lower income area, and they don't have time. Their parents don't have time to spend the time with them because they're trying to make sure they keep a roof over their head. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that
Providing.
a parent, like they just got to do what they got to do. So
Yeah.
I try to show them that, like, hey, you can do and be whatever you want to be. I said, look, I tell them all the time, I'm still trying to be who I want to be.
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of people, we set timelines on where we supposed to be. And then if we don't reach that specific timeline, it's okay. It's
Right.
just a growing process. Like you could be 80 years old and you still growing, you still learning. Like that's what life is about, is learning lessons constantly over and over again. It's just you have to be willing to do it, be willing to grow, be willing to be accountable in different things of that nature. So it's fine. But I understand what you're saying, like when kids don't know certain things.
Mhm.
They don't know history, they don't know credit, they don't know a lot of things that the schools don't teach. So it's like we do need other foundations and organizations to teach them that.
Yes, most definitely. And mentoring is big. Like people don't understand how much that impacts, even if it's not with a mentoring program, but just somebody else that they can talk to outside of their mom or
Mhm.
dad or their siblings that can actually be there for them and actually help them will do a world of difference for those kids. Cause that's what I'm like, I don't want y'all to struggle, especially
Right.
the ones that already have kids and you're a kid yourself. Like life is already going to be hard enough with that piece altogether. So let's try to make it easier. Let's figure out what the plan is for your life.
Yeah, because it's not fair. Even though it's not fair to them, because they are children and they don't know, they just know what they know from what they been, brought up to do. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes it's like we wish we could grab and hold the parents too, because
Yes,
they weren't taught anything either. So with
exactly.
a child getting the tools that they never were taught, it could cause conflict sometimes when it's really you gotta boil down to the parent, like, look, I wanna help, I'm helping your child, I wanna help you too.
Exactly.
And but they have to be acceptive of that and not think that it's offensive or we're trying to take over something or feel some kind of way. Because sometimes when have you ever gotten to a position where you wanted to step in and help the parent, but they take it offensively, like you trying to test their parenting?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah. Especially me being younger than them. So it's like, who are you trying to come in and tell me how to raise my kid? You know, like
Yes. That's the most difficult part. And it's like you'll be coming from the heart with it. And this is something you really want to do, is because, you just want to help. And
yeah.
some people are just so used to doing things on their own, not receiving help, or even when they got help, you got people throwing stuff up in your face. Like, I helped you, you wouldn't be here. Nobody got time for that. Look,
No.
this is what we about to do. Don't take it offensively. I'm not trying to steal your child. I'm not
Right.
trying to be that mother, but look, this is what we about to do to enhance your home and make it more loving.
And the parents have to be receiving because they don't understand that they're a key to a lot of things. Because as a kid, you want to be for not every kid wants to be like their parents, but like every kid wants to be like their parents. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
we do.
they might want to do some of the actions that their parents do or some of the choices, but they want to be like their mom and they want to be like their dad. They're looking for that approval. A lot of kids look for that approval, and even adults, because they just never got the approval from their parents of saying
Mhm.
like, look, you did a good job, I love you, I'm proud of you. Like those words go a long.
Long way.
Yeah.
A long way. It just, I think it, even like just not with speaking life into kids, you could just be a friend or a family member or anything. You could just say, girl, you look cute today. Or you
Right.
look beautiful. You say something so small and it just brighten their day and make them smile. And that's how it's supposed to be. But that's the affirmation in real life. Instead of us reading the affirmation and not getting nothing received. Like when you can do it personally, that's an affirmation.
Exactly. Yes, affirmations are huge, and that's one of the big love languages that a lot of people score high on when they figure out their love language style. Like people need those words about. People need to hear people say those words to them, especially people they care about, because that just changes people's whole world, whole mindset in almost like an instance.
Yes. It really will. And love languages is so important because everybody loves differently.
Hmm.
We have hurt love, emotional love,
Yep.
abusive love,
Yes.
manipulative love. We have so many love languages to a point. It's a healthy love that we all are supposed to receive and have. And we
Hmm.
gotta have it constantly because it's healthy for us and it helps us move forward and feel good about ourselves.
Right. And it's got to be unconditional, because
Yes.
if it's not unconditional, if it's only a I love you because of X, Y, and Z, like it's gonna run out one day. So as soon as you make that person mad, like it's a wrap.
You'd be like, dang, I done did this. I went all out my way. And all
Right.
that. But it's different when you do so much and then, one thing that you do wrong or something, somebody will just blow it up. You be like,
Yeah, you'd be
dang.
like, you're like, hey, so like, wait, run that back. What just happened? Like, can we bring it back? Can we reel it back in real quick? Like,
But sometimes we can't fault them for that because that's a natural reaction for a lot of people too.
yeah.
Some people is used to things like that, and then later on when they feel like they cool and they passed it, that's when they want to come back into your life and pick
Mhm.
up things like ain't nothing never happened.
Right. Like, oh, okay, I fixed it myself. How you doing? Like, it's like, look, I may have forgave you, but I ain't forget now.
Like, hold up. It's like that sometimes, but it's like we can't fault people and hold them to certain things because they were never taught that.
Yeah.
And
It's
they
the
love is just so different.
Yep.
Some people have so many broken homes to a point we don't know.
Right.
And I personally I don't take a lot of stuff personal of certain things, people's actions and what they do, because it's like it'd be deeper than what it is of what you're seeing. Like,
Yeah.
and that's how I'm like, oh, that'd be okay. It's a little deeper than that.
Yeah. I had a falling out with one of my friends, and I was just like, I didn't know what happened. Like I was confused, and and I apologized. I was like, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. Like I wasn't even trying to be rude or mean or nothing. And we stopped talking for a good little minute. But like I wasn't mad because I was like, I didn't, I did apologize because I'm like, look, I'm sorry if it's hit you wrong. Like obviously I said something or did something, but I
Yeah,
knew it wasn't me per se as to why she was so upset. And then, later on we chopped it up and we were all good. And it was, like you said, deeper than
yeah,
what the actual argument or miscommunication was even about.
yeah. But the big thing is apologizing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people's egos be so stuck or they just be stubborn and don't want to say nothing. I used to do that myself. But it's to a point where, okay, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I messed up. I mean it. You know what I'm saying? It just carries a lot when you're able to do that and tell somebody that because it can just be so simple.
Yeah, and genuinely do it,
Yeah,
because you know how some people be like,
I'm
"All right,
sorry.
I'm sorry." Yeah, like, dang, I ain't hurt your feelings. Like,
I'm sorry.
right? You gotta do the neck roll and get your hand and
You don't even have to be that deep, but that's
yeah,
just being a smart ass. Unless you know their personality like that,
yeah.
it'll be different. But I think what a lot of us we we don't analyze a lot is people's characters.
Hmm.
Sometimes we just go out the way of different things, and you have to really know a person and know their character, know their heart, and know what they mean and don't mean to actually not take things so personal and offensive of when they do something.
Right,
To a certain extent, you know a difference between evilness and how a person really is because they just hurt at that moment.
right. They being super petty. Right.
Yeah. Super petty. Like, look, I don't got time for this. So
Yes.
we know a difference, and I know you have encountered many situations even like that because helping people when you do it from a passion, sometimes it helping people hurts you.
Yeah.
It's a hurtful feeling. Like
Yeah, because they
is.
throw all their frustration out on you, like, because one, they're not used to receiving such a nice, you
Love
know, exactly. Yes. Yep. They're not used to that. So they're like, all I got to do is cuss them out real quick and they're going to be mad and they're going to leave me like everybody else, versus like somebody actually sticking around, like, okay, I know you really didn't mean that. I'm going to let you calm down though, because I ain't going to let you talk to me like that. But
right.
I'm going to still be here. Like, yeah.
Yep. It's just building that love relationship. Now, don't get me wrong. Some stuff, if it goes too far, I'm cutting you off.
Right, right.
Like it's a done deal.
Yeah, you got to have your boundaries. You got to
Yes,
have
you
your
do.
boundaries.
You have to protect yourself at all times because sometimes when you give so much, you can find yourself being used constantly just for that reason only when it's not really what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you have to realize when you're being an enabler to your friends, because a lot of times we want to help, 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 but at some point they got to help themselves. Like,
Yeah,
you got to
yeah.
let them stand up on their own 2 feet and figure out like what they're going to do with their life, because as long as they have that safety net, they ain't going to change.
No, they not. And
Yeah.
sometimes when a person is used to you doing so much for them, they
Hmm.
start to feel obligated.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're obligated to do this for me. No, I'm not. You're
Right.
obligated to do it yourself. So it's like people don't realize that it's a natural thing for people to help people. It
Hmm.
comes natural, but we're doing it out of love because this is
Right.
something we want to do. We don't have to do it.
Right.
So people really have to understand that on the all the time. And sometimes it's like they try to find something wrong with you in the midst of you doing that. And it don't even have to go that way.
Right. Yep. Because they start associating certain behaviors or certain comments or whatever with something in the past or something with their family member. Because a lot of times we just project. We project on to other people our own problems and our own insecurities and things of that nature, and hoping that it makes the other person feel as bad as we do.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because we don't really want the other person to feel that bad, but it's kind, it's the saying, misery likes company. So
Yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
I want you to feel this way today because I feel like that.
yeah. Like, why you so happy all the time? Like, be mad.
Yeah. They was like, oh, you always jippery all the time. Like, hey. And but it's like, I mean, that's what I want to be today.
Right. It's like, trust me, you don't want me to be mad.
I know. That's good. So have you like experienced a lot of situations that way from you actually just helping people?
I've had a few. I think for me, since I deal with the young, more so the younger, like teenagers, they more so see me as a mentor. So it's not as bad. It's only when, like, they don't get their way or they think we friends. Like, no, 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 we're
Right.
not friends. That's not what we're doing here. Because I have to remind them all the time. It's like, I do want you to be comfortable and I want you to talk to me. Um, but at the same time, don't get it twisted. Like, there are levels to this relationship. There are boundaries and levels, and we're never going to be on a friendship level because of the type of relationship we're trying to build, with the younger crowd. Now, with people more my age, it's a little bit different because they'll be like, well, you ain't no better than me. Like, what you know more than me, kind of situation. And so it's tough to say, like, hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying you stupid. I'm not saying you dumb. I'm not saying you're not educated. I'm not saying you can't do X, Y, and Z. All I'm giving you is from my own life experience and from my personal and professional experience, what I've encountered or seen or been taught. So,
Right. You know that it could be hurtful sometimes because of the fact that you're really not coming at them in that direction.
hmm
Like, wait, like slow your roll. It's really not that deep. Like, it's I really want to help you, and it makes helping people so difficult,
yeah,
and then it makes you not want to do it.
it does, because then you start getting bitter, and
Yes.
know, you'd be like, you get a text, you might get a text from like, hey, can you come pick me up? You be like, you, I know I do this anyway. I look at the phone like, hell no, I ain't about to come pick
You know what you just did is that it's like people will forget like instantly when it got
Yeah.
something to do with them. They
Yes,
instantly forget. Like, and you be like, we haven't even discussed what you just did.
exactly. They don't want to
And
talk about it
no,
because
no,
they know they was in the wrong.
yeah, yes. So with you mentoring women, what is exactly that you do to help women get further in life and understand a purpose here and confidence and more?
So what I set out to do is I just again I talk to them. I tell them first, I just want to get to know you. Like I want to get to know who you are, what you've been through, why are you the way that you are? Because the more understanding that I have of the person that I'm talking to, the better that I can help them meet their goals. Because they may think their whole life that they want to be a CEO of some Fortune 500 company, but then after really talking to them and kind of pinpointing out certain things in their life, it's like, hmm, like, but it kind of sounds like you really love working with animals. Like, so what, let's look into, maybe an internship, you know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
get a pet. Whatever it is that kind of sparks their interest. And maybe that's not it, but it's just exploring and experiencing different things. So I really like to just get to know them on a personal level to where I can better understand and help them. Because I think people really miss that fact because they don't try to be friends with everybody. But
Yeah.
it's like, if you really don't take the time to get to know somebody, how can you even help them?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you
true.
you can't help them if you don't know them.
Yeah. And that's true. And sometimes we can find people like we could be helping somebody for so long or we could known them for so long, but it's like we really don't know them because we
Right.
never took that time out to conversate. A lot of people do not communicate at all, and they just just text here and there, spend time and do certain things. But I think like people taking time out to really just sit and really talk, I mean, have deep conversations and
Yeah.
everything. It'll be so much better for people to grasp another understanding with people. Then at the same time, we got people when you do communicate with them and you do get on that level, they get to run in their mouth too. So, that accumulated trust issues also.
Yeah.
So, it's like you gotta try to set your boundaries to a point and just love.
Yeah. And that's the hard part because a lot of people don't really know what love is. We have an idea. If TV shows us what we think love is sometimes. But until you really go through your own experience of being hurt and of giving your all to somebody and all of that stuff that comes with still, like I said, that unconditional love. Because I mean, soon as somebody hurts you, you're gonna figure out if you really love them or not.
Yes. Or if they love you.
Right.
Because some people just take it too far. Like dang, like it ain't even that serious. Like if you loved me in the first place, you wouldn't even took it this far.
Right.
Like, look,
Exactly.
we should be better than that.
Yes. Yes, most definitely. Good. But again, it's hard because our emotions run high and it's in that spur of the moment. But again, if we come back and it's like nobody's expecting anybody to be perfect. People gonna blow up. You're gonna blow up at your friends. You're gonna have your arguments or whatever with your significant others and whoever. But it's all about coming back around and
Yep.
having that conversation.
Yep. And everybody owning up to what they did and they said wrong. And then after that, we can keep it moving.
Exactly.
And
I'm
then and that's not going to be the last time it happened. It's going to constantly happen. That's just what how relationships are. But that builds relationships, that brings people together even closer, and having that, that secure bond there.
Yeah, and a lot of some of the jobs I used to work at a like this lockdown facility, mental health facility, where kids were coming from juvie and from foster care to stay here. They couldn't see their parents unless they had like really good behavior. Like
Wow.
they couldn't have any pencils, nothing, because they'll try to harm themselves and stuff like that. But the assistant principal at that school, because they were in school too, they got credit and stuff like that. They were like, he was like, I'm really impressed with how you were able to gain the trust of these kids so quickly, because they don't usually trust people that fast. He's like, well, how did you do it? And I was like, I treated them like a person.
Yeah. Like, you won't be like, go sit over there. Don't do that. Get in that corner. Go sit down. Like, you're not telling them what to do. It's bonding. It's You know what I know that kids like is when you actually just sit with them.
Yeah.
Like, instead of you just being behind a desk and you just got a whole bunch of kids in front of you and stuff, if you just sit with them, even if it's like on a couch or they all a group of them at a table or something like that, if you go in and sit with them and engage with them with
Hmm.
about the conversation they having, and then you could share a few of your experiences too, that's an icebreaker right there itself. And
It's so
people, it don't trigger to them to do it because they busy trying to be drill sergeants.
exactly. It's that power struggle. Like they're like, I'm the adult, you're the kid,
Yeah,
you
stay
do
in the
what I
calm
say.
place.
Yeah. I'm like, it's not that serious though. Like it's not, especially with kids that ain't your kids. Like it's it's not that serious. Like you already know most times kids that are not your kids, they gonna test you. They gonna be like, you ain't my mama, you ain't my daddy, you know.
Yeah,
So let's not even get into that power struggle. Like if they
this
don't want to do
is
something, like go pick up your paper off the floor and they be like, no. Okay. And it's hard to be like that though, because I be like, look, I want to snatch you up. Like
I know.
yeah, but it's like, you know what? That's what they want. They want the power struggle because they're trying to assert their power. Because a lot of times in their home environment, they don't have that power to assert. So
Mm,
when they get outside of that, they like, you ain't my mom and daddy, so I ain't got to listen to you.
yeah.
I run this. I'm like, you really don't, but okay, we'll go
So
ahead.
I make you think you doing something little
Yeah,
kid. But you know, when you have them to a point when they think they doing something, it's like they come to you even closer and closer. You be like, I thought you had it on your own then.
yeah. Thought you didn't need me.
What you doing over here?
They'll always be like, Miss B, Miss B, what you doing? I'm minding my business. What is you doing? I need some help. Do you really though? Or do you just really just want to be next to me? Like, which one is it?
In most cases, when you have children, what type of homes do they come from? What is their reason for being in there?
So for foster care, it's usually for abuse or neglect, or their parents are dealing or using drugs. So those are the main reasons with foster care as to why those kids are there. And it's really sad because some of the kids test positive for drugs.
Really?
Yeah, in the home, because either the parents were continuing to do drugs while they were pregnant, or these kids are around these drugs so much that they either were introduced at an early age. Because I know some parents will. I've heard so many crazy stories of them mixing like drugs into the baby's formula, and like yeah, it's like crazy stuff to where it's like, why are you feeding an infant child crack? Like that don't even Why?
Wow.
Why? There's no reason for that. So they get addicted early and not knowing that they're getting addicted to these drugs. And so when you take a kid out of an environment that has drugs and into an environment that has no drugs at all, oh, that kid gonna be like losing their mind because one, they're
Yeah.
withdrawal, and two, you didn't put them in an environment that's the complete 180 of what they're used to. But
Wow.
it's sad though because there was one kid who um, was abused really bad and had a lot of internal bleeding.
Wow.
Um, so you couldn't see it on the outside, but very malnourished. So it was just sad, you know. And but now, you know, you get to see them in foster care get so healthy and happy, and then you just hope that their parents really do get it together.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I didn't know it'd be that intense. I didn't know they put drugs in the formula and all that stuff.
Yeah,
That,
some parents do.
ooh,
But
that's
that's because they're
bad.
on drugs themselves and they're not in
Yeah.
their right mind. And, you know, what I didn't know is people go to Walmart and places like that, steal baby formula and put drugs in like the cases of baby formula because it
Uh-huh.
looks very similar. And that's how they be selling their drugs and stuff like that.
Okay.
And I'm like, first of all, we're wasting a lot of formula that kids need. Like
Yeah.
you're taking away from people who really need that stuff. And then two, you're sitting here teaching a very unhealthy lifestyle, you know, it's because a lot of them have kids themselves.
Right.
So
Right. And that's probably how they was raised too.
right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like you can't it's hard to blame them 100%.
It is. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's like you be trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's like when a child has innocence, and adults usually take those innocence away from those children. Another child isn't taking the child's innocence. You
Right.
know, adults are. So it's like we have to, you know, go about things differently to not have them going in that direction. Like it's just sad all the way around.
It is. It's very sad. And that's why a lot of times for case managers, there's a high turnover rate because of all the stories and all the things that we see. I mean, luckily, I'm not on the CPS side because they see way more because they're the ones who actually remove the kids from the home.
Ooh, that's a
Um,
lot.
yeah, I was like, I can't be on that side. That would burn me all the way out. But, you know, I say, see, there's a lot of stuff, you know, good and bad stuff with CPS, but I'm just like, man, it takes a special person to have to make that decision of removing a child from their environment and being seen as kind of like the bad guy in most situations.
Yep, they hate you for their whole life.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So, in closing, what event do you have coming up?
So I'm excited to say that I next year in May I'm gonna have an event called Moms Are Sexy Too. So
Ooh,
yes, I'm gonna have it to where they're gonna get their makeup done, they're gonna get their hairstyle. I'm gonna have a photographer there so they can walk them their little runway, get their photos taken, and then have like a motivational speaker and a few other people on a panel to kind of share their stories and of success and struggle and things of that nature, and really just to pamper them and love on them and just make them feel good and start to build that confidence in themselves as women and as mothers and daughters. So yeah,
that's
I'm excited.
good. I'm excited for you. And this is in Texas, right?
Yes, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, it's gonna be next year. I'll probably have to come to that myself. I'm not a mom yet, but I like to
That's
come.
okay. But that's another thing though. Moms don't always have to be, I tell people all the time, moms don't actually have to be the ones that carry the child. Like you could be taking care of your nieces, your nephews,
Yeah, that's true.
you know what I'm saying? You could be an
Yeah,
auntie. So anybody who is caring, I mean, heck, you could really even be caring for your own parents in their older age. Like you have now become the caregiver.
I
Like you
know.
deserve a break. You deserve to feel beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Nice. Well, in closing, could you say something real uplifting and positive for women to keep going, living out their day, and know that everything will be all right?
Yeah. So, to all the ladies that are out there, just know that every day that you make a choice to do something different is a day closer to your goal, to your dream, to your happiness, to you building that success and that empire that you want in your life. Every day's not going to look easy. Every day's not going to be peaches and cream, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. So, and I
Yeah.
know that's kind of a cliche, but it's so true. If everybody could be a millionaire, everybody would. But it really takes a lot of heart, dedication, and love and compassion for yourself to do what is best for you and your family.
Yes, definitely. Well, I would like to say blessings to you of the work that you do every day. And I'm going to pray for you because a lot of people that be in the field of helping people and doing things on a daily basis, they need a lot of prayer. They need someone to cover them too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you doing it for yourself isn't enough. You need a whole village of people that's willing to pray for you of you not even knowing. So I
Yes.
am definitely gonna pray for you.
Yes, it definitely takes a village. Definitely takes a
Yes.
village. Well, I definitely appreciate you having me here. I was stoked to be invited on this platform. It's such a good platform. I have
Thank
told so many
you.
people about it. Like I
Oh, thank you. I'm
yes,
girl. I just want people to be uplifted and inspired. I think we need to get back to our roots and understand what's really going on. It's like people just skip around reality. So,
yes,
like, if I bring women on this platform, that we're gonna bring reality back from people hearing our voices and knowing what's going on in life because people just hide behind stuff, make excuses, don't want to say nothing, and all that. So, like, it's time. We need to be in a season now when we really need to let the real be out instead of us always analyzing and uplifting other people that really not really helping us. We need some people that's really helping. So I appreciate you and every woman that been on this podcast because y'all are the bomb. I'm telling you. If I could have every single last one over here, all one of y'all on here at once, oh, we could break the internet.
I bet you that'd be a lot of fun too.
We have a ball.
Yes, I love it.
So thank you again. I really appreciate you. And let's keep in touch always.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.